Hey Hodies, welcome back to my channel. My name is hautemess Tom, and thank you so much for clicking on this video. Today, we're going to talk about vanity-worthy makeup, but I'll define what that is in just a second. But if you are new to my channel is often about loving my makeup collection as it currently is, being critical of so many makeup releases, and just being very discerning whenever I decide to bring something into my makeup collection. It's not just like everything I try automatically gets up space. So if that kind of content sounds good to you, I would love to have you subscribe. Make sure you like this video because that really helps me out. And I'm also on patreon.com if you would like to support me there. There's absolutely no pressure though. I'm just so happy that you're here. As always, thank you to my lovely patrons for supporting me on Patreon. I appreciate all of you. The other day I was laying in bed. So this is how the concept of this video came up. I was laying in bed and I do sleep like Dracula. And I was thinking to myself, what if I didn't have makeup drawers and all of the makeup that I had to live on my vanity? I, of course, have too much makeup for that. And I thought, what is vanity-worthy makeup? It has to sit on top of your vanity. So it both has to look good physically in the appearance of the packaging, but also if you have such slim pickings, you need to pick really high performing, good product to represent that on the counter. It has to look good and it has to work well. Those are the two criteria that I was working with. So I picked out a full face of makeup that I feel like is vanity worthy. This is not to say that this is the be all end all and like that what's right is what's wrong. It was just a fun concept because I know personally that not everyone has the same amount of makeup storage that I do, nor do people want the same amount of makeup storage that I have, right? I have one set of the 5 drawers IKEA Alex drawers, and that's as much space as I want to commit to storing makeup. So if there's ever overflow, if we're getting to the point where it's like that's when we declutter, that's when we rethink all of our choices, that's when we make new decisions. So that's what got to me. But some people do their makeup in the bathroom, and maybe that's a bathroom that when you have guests over, they all use, and you don't always have to put your makeup away, or you know what I mean? Like it's like one of those things where it's just like, it matters. It does matter. So if you're new here, I am more into luxury makeup, so a lot of what we're seeing today is going to be in the realm of luxury, but I think this can absolutely be done with drugstore makeup, and there are really sleek looking drugstore makeup. So it's just like a concept, and if you were to think about your collection, I'd be very curious to see what your vanity-worthy makeup is. But let's jump into mine. I always start my makeup with some lip balm. This is the Auric Plush Ritual. This is the shade Bare. I mean, it has like that millennial beige thing that's going on with it, which is like very appealing. This bottom bit is glass, which is really nice. If you're into it, there is a jade applicator. I don't really use that, and then it's filled with just beautiful product. So this is just my little lip prep before I do the rest of my face. I don't always do this on camera, so if you're like sitting at home and you're like, I've never seen them do that before, that's okay. Just because you haven't seen it doesn't mean it doesn't happen. I also really like this lip balm. I don't know that I would like say that everyone needs to go buy it, but it is kind of nice to have, and I just appreciate that Samantha Ravndal is like looking into ways to make these like refillable, where you might just only buy the bottom again, because like once you already have the jade applicator, do you really want to buy the whole thing again? You know, it's like there's a lot of thought, so I appreciate that. That doesn't really come into like the vanity worthy makeup, but it's a really nice lip balm. I had like a very intense makeout session a few months ago, and it like really like messed up my lip situation, and this was a great lip balm to bring me back from death. It was really helpful. I was using the Mario Badescu lip balm, and it's a really nice lip balm, and I'm not saying that it's not. It's also much more affordable than this one is. That one wasn't really doing it, and this one really brought my lips back from the dead. So I appreciate it for its service, and it's a very nice lip balm. Next would be primer. For primer, I chose the Merit Great Skin. Just look at it. It's glass. It has this nice frosted bit. It has a beautiful golden top to it. It's just very pleasing, and even the buy phase is also part of like the aesthetic, and it's just very nice. When one is making the choice to pick an oil serum, you have to pick a foundation that's going to play well with it, right? Like if it's going to be your only thing that sits on your vanity, those two things have to play very well together, so that's something to take into consideration. But I just love looking at this, and I think of all the primers that I currently own, like this one's like the most aesthetically pleasing. The Bobbi Brown is also very simple, and I think it would look really elegant on a tabletop, but like this one to me is just more aesthetically pleasing, and it's also very high performing and like lovely to put on the skin. First downside is that it does squirt out very viciously that first squirt every time you're using it. Someone very intelligently pointed out in my comment section, it might be the fact that because it's biphase, what ends up being in the pump that's resting from the last time is it mixed, and there's like the pump isn't fully full of liquid, and like that's probably what's causing it, because the second pump is fine. Something to take into consideration too. Is the pump perfect? No. But is it really pretty to sit on the Vanity? Yes, it is. The next step is debatable whether or not you would need this step, and obviously all of our makeup application processes are very different, and like you might take different steps than I do to get ready. But I figured if it was going to be all the choices I had for my makeup collection all at once, that I would include color corrector. This one's from Chanel. Now, actually, I have a lot of gripes with this packaging because it's Chanel and because this cost $45. This is in plastic packaging, and the component isn't super unique. Maybe the fact that it's a little bit square and a little bit rounded is like something that they paid money for, but it's just not the most appealing thing. And the only demarcation that it is like a luxury product is what's on top here. That would be the only thing that would like make you look at it and be like, I guess that's Chanel. But I do like the product inside, and I do think the formulation is like really elegant. Like it feels really nice on the skin. It works really well on the skin, but I just find that it's like a little bit lacking. But because it's kind of so classic, it's like simple black, and then you see the product inside, I think it would look really nice on the Vanity, you know, just like kind of sitting in front, like, and especially if it's something that you use every time you do your makeup, I think that it's like, you know, a step worth having. I actually haven't color corrected in some time, so it's been a minute, but we're gonna do it today. The redness is a little evened out. Where do we go next? Obviously, it's time for foundation. So this one was actually harder for me. So I am currently amidst cycling through like 3 new foundations. Like I put my Makeup by Mario review up. I'm still like fussing with it a little bit. I also have one from Lancome that I actually even haven't opened yet that was sent to me through Influencer. I currently am testing out the House Labs for a review, and I also have the other foundations that are currently in my collection. Now, if the Surratt Dewdrop foundation was not sitting in a Tupperware container in my drawer because the packaging broke, that would have been the one that I would have chosen. But of the way that my makeup collection currently is, I did decide to go with the House Labs. Now, would this have been better if it had a gold top to match the Merit better? Yes, but you know what I love? Mixed metallics. But this is a glass bottle, and it's a very uniquely shaped packaging, right? Like not everything looks like this, and you got the little bit of allure from the like the packaging here just being like a little bit interesting to look at. It feels really nice in the hands. The frosted glass doesn't, it feels like different than you think it's going to. It's a very interesting, like picking it up, seeing it on the Vanity. It is just like kind of a thing to be admired. The Surratt is as well, but like, and that's like much more sleek, but this is also very sleek and very gorgeous. So that's what I'm choosing. Because I'm picking it as vanity worthy makeup, I think you can discern that I am in fact impressed with the performance of this foundation. If you follow me on Instagram, I have been kind of like posting updates as I've been trying it out that I have kind of been enjoying it. I will save most of that for the actual review. And I know that I'm like really late to be reviewing House Labs. It was requested of me. And so that's what we're doing. That's why I bought it, but you know, we'll get into more of that later. Next up is concealer. Oh, goodness. I always forget how this has much more coverage than I'm usually accustomed to. I mean, it looks really good. Also, I haven't worn this with the green color corrector yet, so this is like a first test of that, but ooh, my skin's even. Next up is concealer. I do like to use a concealer that is brightening. And if you are watching my channel, you already know this, but if you're new to my channel, I actually only have one concealer. I did a big declutter at the end of last year where I was just like, what am I really using? What do I want to consistently use? And I just kind of got rid of all of the other concealers that I had. And so I'm left with the Armani Luminous Silk Concealer. And it is just, in my opinion, the best concealer that I have tried. And I have tried some very lovely concealers that weren't this concealer. This is like my ride or die as of right now. Now, I did receive this in gratis when I used to work at Sephora. It has, you know, just like classic black, and then it's like an elegant component. And while this is also a plastic component, unlike the Chanel, this feels like more unique packaging, right? It has like this, it almost kind of is triangular, like it's thinner on the top than it is on the bottom. And so it's just like clearly a component that Armani like really decided to make it look like this. And it has like an interesting doe foot. So everything about it, I think, is just like kind of vanity worthy, and like it sits up right perfectly, right? Like it has enough on the bottom to like sit up. So on my vanity, if I wanted to place it sitting up, it would just do that instead of having to like force it or like put it in a cup or lean it up against something. So that's why I think this is vanity worthy, but also kind of it has to be because it is the only because it is the only concealer that I have. We have concealer on. I am starting to look really flat, so we need to bring some life back into it. I decided to go with a cream bronzer because of the bronzers I have. I just thought this one would look best on the vanity. I almost picked another one. So I picked the Chanel Le Beige Healthy Glow Bronzer. The reason I did choose it is because it's just, when you look at it, it's like just so kind of elegant. It is a plastic component, but the size of it kind of like gives it this like literal, like it gives it a weight, like it gives it a weight. It's appealing to look at. Unlike this, where like it's like, what are we looking at? The emblem's a lot bigger of the Chanel on top. You also have it on the side here. And like, it's just like one of those classic products that I think a lot of people who love makeup are going to recognize when they see it on your vanity. When you see it on your vanity, it's going to give you that feeling. I also had the Tom Ford bronzer in Terra in contention for this, but I decided to go with this because a lot of the other things that I have like black caps or gold on them, minus the House Labs, which is like the outlier here. It has like a silver cap. So I just thought like the black is more consistent with what I'm doing as opposed to having like this large white compound in conjunction with all of the black. So this is also like kind of taking home decor into consideration, like what's all gonna go together on the vanity too. And again, like this is just a point, like this is a pointless activity. It was just something that I was thinking about. Like it was like, if I could pick all the makeup from my collection and only some of it would live on my vanity and that's like all the makeup I would have, what would it be? So that's like really why we're narrowing it down. That's why we're being nitpicky, and that's why like this would beat out. But like all of the bronzers I have I think are very lovely and are very worth my time to have. It's just like, this is the one that I would want to sit on my vanity if I could only have one and it had to live on my vanity at all times. It's this one. I'm sure you've heard people rave about this before, and everything about it is true. The problem is the color range in this product, but I really just like the way it bronzes. I like that it's a little bit glowy. I have the deep tan color of this. The amount of pigment is definitely buildable, so I picked this one because I like the red undertone of this bronzer. The one that's for light skin tones, they also have a medium one now, which I have not seen in person, but when I was buying this, I was buying it at a Chanel counter. They had the original shade and the shade, and then that medium shade got released after I purchased this. I don't know what that one's like, but the one that's lighter was like really orange, like the original one, and I was like, I don't think that would look good on me, so that's why I went with this. And I think I just kind of like the red tone to it. Okay, now we have a little bit more shape back in my face, which is very nice. I also picked out a cream blush, and so it was hard for me to pick one. But if there was anyone that I wanted to sit on my vanity, it'd be one of these Westman Atelier. Until you've held one of these, it's like kind of like you wouldn't know, but like they're like nice and heavy. They feel so good in the hands. They feel very like intuitive. It has like a magnet enclosure. So if like your vanity was in like a space that you used as a common space too, people could go up and be like, ooh, look at how fancy this is. You know, it's like kind of fun, just like kind of a fun thing. And I chose the shade Mimi. Of course, I didn't choose Pop It. Pop It wouldn't go with very much, but Mimi's a little bit more adaptable and would work for more looks. Yeah, that's how I like to put it on. It will blend out, don't worry. Don't worry, don't you worry. And then for highlighter, the Auric Glow Lust. I have the shade Morganite because it's the one that works best with my skin tone. I really love this stuff. I also would love that I would have the option of also using this as a primer or a mix-in with my foundations. If I was constructing a face that I had to wear every day, like the Auric Glow Lust is like the perfect highlighter for that. I obviously have a lot of glow going on, so you're probably sitting at home going, why on earth would they put on a highlighter? But I like to be sparkly, I like to be glowy, I like to be... Not that like healthy skin is like this wet, but it's just, you know, it feels... This is like what feels healthy to me. But maybe you're like, they look like they have the meat sweats and I would never want to look like that. And that's also fair. Like I made a decided choice by choosing the Merit Great Skin for my primer. That is going to give me a much dewier base. The House Labs foundation so far, I have found it like pretty adaptable as far as like what primers it will go with. So that's why I was like, I'll just pick that one too. The other reason is like, this is, again, vanity worthy. It's just so sleek. It has a glass bottle. The black top is very consistent with all the other black tops that I was choosing. It has this gold detailing, which matches the great skin detailing. So it kind of just like goes with everything else that I have already chosen. For powders, I chose 2 because I typically powder with 3. I have done a little bit of a something, and so if you've been watching my channel, you know that I tried a bunch of Charlotte Tilbury stuff, and I really like the airbrush brightening powder. One of my subscribers sent me this, and I actually have had some face powders in here. So what I did is I depotted that, and it's very easily depotable. It's like magnet in the original packaging. So I popped it out and I put it in here. So it's in here with my contour. I think this is so cool to be sitting on the vanity as like a piece of makeup, like a makeup holder. So as I said, my subscriber Amy made this and sent this to me, and so she took this and put like a magnet something in here that make it magnetic. And so yeah, I can just put products in here like it's a Z palette or just like a regular magnetic palette. So I think that this is just so aesthetically pleasing. It has the gold detailing that I have been going with for some of my other products, but also it kind of has like this really vintagey feel. So I just think it would be like something really cool to display on the vanity. I'm going to use the Charlotte Tilbury airbrush brightening powder, but I would not have chosen that in its original packaging because I have this magnetic palette. That's why it got chosen for this specific use. I use that just in the center of my face to set anything and also brighten anything in the center of my face because I do really like that highlighted center of the face look. So that's why I use that for one of my 2 powders. Now the other powder, it's not very consistent and congruent with all of the other packaging, but I do think it's like kind of packaging that stands alone and kind of would be the focal point if you were looking at all of my products on my vanity. It would kind of be where you would focus because it's so different. And it is the Chantecaille Perfect Blur Powder. This was in limited edition packaging. I think if I had it in the real packaging that it comes in now, it would probably fit with this a little bit better. There's not a day that goes by where I don't want to use this, so of course I was going to put it on my vanity. Like, of course it was going to make the cut. Now, if I could depot this, but I think this is like a baked product. If I could depot this and like put it in here too, like that would be like ultimately what would be the best. And I'm not sure about the component that it comes in. I don't know if it's glued in or if it's something that you can depot. But of course this had to come. If you are new here, like this is something that well, first of all, I pan on it. So I clearly use it all the time. And it's just one of those things that like, it's just like the perfect like finishing touch in my opinion, when it comes to setting like the face. Now it's supposed to be a finishing powder, but I kind of use it for both setting and finishing. So I'm gonna use it this time and that's just it. Like it does all the blurring it needs to do. And I just avoid the spaces that I wanna keep glowy. So like where I have the Auric Glow Lust is like kind of where I just avoid powdering. With all of the other things that I have just like sitting on the vanity, I just think that this would be like a little bit of like you would start there and then you would see the cohesiveness of the rest of the products. Now you may have noticed when I opened this earlier, there's a contour in here. So we're gonna use that. It's the Kevyn Aucoin contour shade in medium. Now, I don't have the original packaging. This was given to me, my friend Lena was decluttering a Kevyn Aucoin like eyeshadow / face palette, and this was in there. So I just depotted this and put it in a magnetic palette. I really like this contour powder, and I actually used to have the Lunatic Cosmetic Labs contour powders, but I realized that they were getting hard pan and they were kind of old. And I'm sure that this contour powder is just as old, but they weren't performing as well, but I really liked those. I actually do think if I buy a contour powder, like when I buy my next contour powder, I think I might buy something that's just in a pro pan because I kind of like having this just like be my like powder palette. We'll see what I end up choosing. But the Kevyn Aucoin, the actual packaging would also, I think, fit in because I do believe there is some gold accents on that packaging. So I think it would fit right at home with all of the other things if it was in its traditional packaging, but I like it in here. So here's how the face is looking so far. If I'm being truthful, this would probably not like sit on the vanity, but I did want to use an eyeliner. So this is Black Coffee from Pat McGrath. But the reality is I would probably like keep it in with my brushes if I didn't have any drawer storage. I felt like I needed an eyeliner. So I'm just gonna line my eyes completely with this. it wouldn't really have to look that special for an eyeliner. Eyeliners are just pretty unassuming in general. So that is like, it wouldn't really matter to me. For eyeshadow, I thought long and hard about this. And this was actually the one that I had the most trouble deciding on. I thought about Pat McGrath palettes immediately. But I also, my version of myself where I only have makeup that lives on a vanity, decided that I would want fuss-free makeup in that scenario. And so while I don't find like Pat McGrath eyeshadows to be like incredibly fussy or anything to use, it's not giving the sense of that like I've curated and chosen something as much as I think the Rowan quads would. Now obviously it's like this mirrored packaging, it's like very aesthetically pleasing. I mean, you would have to, if you are really that concerned about it, you would probably wipe off the fingerprints every time you use it. But just like a palette of one and done very pretty eyeshadows feels more akin to my version of me that would have makeup that just lives on the vanity. So like this would be like all I would use. It would just be what I would use. I'm going to actually use this gray shade today. And this is the 1111 quad if you were curious. So something very super simple and easy. I didn't even build up the pigment that much, but like it just gives me a little bit of glossy sheen on the eye, and that feels, well, it's not like minimalism. I am so much a makeup maximalist at this point. Like of course, the version of me that would only have enough makeup that sits on the vanity and like that's it. It's just like a full face that you do all the time. Like this feels much more realistic to me in that scenario. I would also have a setting spray, and it would be MAC Fix Plus. Not the most aesthetically pleasing. In fact, the fix being so big, like if it just said like up here and then most of this was blank, I think it would be more aesthetically appealing. I use setting spray as part of my everyday routine, so I would include this on my vanity. I could also see myself using like the Caudalie Beauty Elixir, also would like work really well, and that's like a glass bottle, very aesthetically appealing. But I like the way that this works the best. I like the way it smells the best. So this one's definitely like more of like a performance-based thing versus being like pretty, but like I would have to include it because I would be using it. Only 2 more products left. We'll start with lipstick before we get to the mascara. So I chose Gucci's A Royal Scandal. The reason I chose this is like, it's my favorite, it's like one of my favorite colors of lipstick, but look at this packaging. Again, we're sticking with this gold aesthetic with the packaging here, and it just kind of just works with all of the other things. This formula comes in different shades, so if you were like committed to the bit and like wanted to do exactly what I am suggesting, it wouldn't have to be Gucci's A Royal Scandal. You could choose one of the other shades that come in this packaging. You can also see that like it's a lipstick that gets some good use from me. It's like starting to kind of just form back into the original, like a flat shape. We have the full face. We just need mascara. Right now, well, kind of always, I always only have one mascara, and the mascara that I'm currently using, unfortunately, messes up the aesthetics that we have going, so I'm going to be using the Tower 28, but I have also used the YSL Lash Clash mascara, and I think that would actually fit more aligned with everything, and I like that mascara a lot. So in my dream world, I would probably use that. Like if I was going to use it as like vanity makeup, I would probably go back to that one, but this one doesn't really fit aesthetically speaking. This is like not part of it, but it is the mascara that I have open currently, so I'm going to use it. I also have the Blink mascara, which is like closer aesthetically, and it's a brown mascara, which is like not always my gig, but like that's actually much more vanity appealing than this one is. But I want a black mascara, so I'm going to use this one. That's that. This is my full face of vanity worthy makeup. I'm gonna zoom you in so you can take a closer look at my skin. Get into the look. Very healthy, very glossy, very glowy. I know that this isn't what like we're into these days, but it's what I'm into, and I don't have to follow trends. But we're nice and blurred, pores hidden, looking beautiful actually. So I'm gonna take it as a win. Now I'm gonna show you what this makeup, I'm gonna clean off my vanity and display this. So I'm gonna take a photo for you, and I'm gonna insert that now. And that's what it would look like if I just had makeup that sat on my vanity and I didn't use drawers at all. And this is like the high performing makeup that I would choose to do that of my makeup collection. So I ask you, what is your vanity worthy makeup? If you were to do this, what are the products that would show up on your vanity? Are you someone who already just has a full face of makeup that you keep on your vanity or on your bathroom next to the sink? Like, what are you doing? What's your situation? Do you have drawers? What do you do? Also, if you watch a lot of my videos and you know my makeup collection, was there anything that you were surprised didn't make the cut for vanity worthy makeup? I'd be interested in hearing what you have to say down below. If you are new to my channel and you haven't subscribed and you watch this all the way through, well, thank you for watching it all the way through. I would love to have you subscribe. Make sure you like this video so it can get into the eyes of some other people. And I'm also on patreon.com again if you would like to support me there. Again, there is absolutely no pressure. It's just there if you would like to support me that way. Thank you all so much for watching, and remember to follow your hote and you will find me. I appreciate you all so much, and I will see you in my next video. Bye-bye.